The Greek Prime Minister has finally accepted its creditors' terms, but with a few conditions. How will these amendments be met by the ECB? Looking at the latest, I'm joined by Chief Eurozone Economist with Pantheon Macroeconomics, Claus Vistesen. Klaus, it's reported Tsipras has accepted creditors' proposals with changes after Greece didn't pay its IMF payment. Is this a credible offer? And is there any idea what these potential changes could be? And can they easily be accepted by Merkel, who previously said she was done negotiating?
Well, I think the details are still pretty sparse in terms of exactly what is on the table and whether negotiations are really ongoing. I think that this is a clear indication that Greece and more specifically Syriza has not gotten the market response that they've wanted, in the sense that you don't have any panic in the market, and that makes it difficult for Greece to continue this situation. No, I think Greece will stay in the euro. I think that a deal will ultimately be made, but I also think that it'll be a suboptimal deal because we've now veered so far off course, and it's so difficult for both parties to come off of their high horse that whatever deal will be made, we'll just set up the stage for another painful negotiations later. Perhaps in a year or 6 months even. But the situation in Greece is untenable at the moment, and will need to be dealt with. And I think ultimately Syriza is ready to approach the European creditors to deal with that.
Looking at the ECB non-monetary policy meeting today, where no doubt Greece will be on top of the agenda, discussions will likely cover how creditors and the ECB will respond to the missed IMF payment and expiry of the bailout program. How do you think they will respond, and will it give any indication on the referendum results out on Sunday?
Well, I mean, the ECB is in a tight spot in the sense that it's difficult for me to see how they can increase ELA without a firm return to the negotiation table. And it's not clear to me that when they'll be holding that meeting that we'll have evidence that that's going on. Greece will no doubt be asking for an extension of ELA because they need it to support the banks, but I don't think the ECB will give it until we have a very clear indication. So today I think what will happen is that they'll reaffirm the level of the ELA at its current level. I mean, they won't shut it off, but they won't give Greece anything more. And then, of course, the language will be, I think, moderate, and they'll implore both parties to sit down at the negotiation table. So, the ECB only has one way to deal with this, and this is to try to stay out as much as possible, but still conduct their role as monetary policy makers. Which, in this case, the only thing they can do, I think, is to keep ELA unchanged, and then hope that a deal will be made later this week. By which time, I think, the ECB can and will probably hold another meeting in which ELA will be increased. But today, it's just difficult for me to see how they can increase ELA today if there's not a firm deal on the table.
And the standoff between Greece and creditors hasn't affected growth in the Eurozone, as Eurozone manufacturing hits 14-month highs. Yet, Eurozone manufacturing remains insipid rather than impressive. Should we take this to mean manufacturing could be doing a lot better?
I think the private investment cycle in the Eurozone is slowly but steadily turning up. And this is what the data today show us. It's still lower than it was that it has been during previous cyclical upturns, but that's largely because of emerging markets. The US and the UK are doing quite well, and Eurozone exporters are benefiting from this. We won't know until next month and the month after whether the chaos in Greece has affected the economy and the survey data. We won't know for even 3 months whether it's affected the hard data. This is the industrial production, retail sales, these kind of data. So we don't know yet. I don't expect the situation in Greece to make a huge dent in the cyclical recovery in the Eurozone. It will hurt sentiment, but I don't think we'll see a massive change. But all this view is only subject to change in the sense that, the negotiations between Greece and its creditors could still break down. But that's not what I expect, and I would also expect the recovery to continue in a moderate fashion. But I think private investment is turning up in the Eurozone. We're seeing enough evidence of that. It's just that right now it's not as strong as we've been used to in cyclical upturns.
This Sunday's referendum will mark a make or break moment not only for the Eurozone but for the EU itself. Make sure you're all caught up in the latest news and market moves by tuning in to Dukascopy TV.